Hey, how's it going, everybody? My name is Indypride. Welcome back to Milk and Cookies Total War. And I got early access to Mortal Empire. So naturally, I wanted to jump in with multiplayer and see all the new changes to the factions, match up some of the old world factions versus New World, and see how that all goes down. So I'll be playing Skaven today. Across from me, across the desert sands, are Turin, who's playing the Wood Elves, the Ezrai of Athelloren. Very nice to see them back in the game. So let's go over builds real quick, and then we'll talk about strategy and go into the battle itself. So up front, I have two gutter runners with poison slings, and if there's any unit on the Skaven roster that's overperforming right now, it's probably these guys. That's because they have a ridiculous amount of physical resistance at 25%, extreme kiting potential because of their missile damage, or the fact that they do poison missile damage. So basically they're imbuing a really powerful slow on any unit that's chasing after them. They're very fast, 48 speed, when Scurry Away is not active. And on top of all that, they have their snare net, which will massively reduce the charge speed and the enemy speed of any cavalry that tries to chase them down. So they don't get countered by really much in the game at all. Even really fast cavalry like Wild Riders have a serious trouble catching up to them because of the snare net and the poison, and they just can whittle down and kite pretty much anything in the game, and it's pretty annoying to deal with. So I have two of them, and then behind that I have some clan rats, some natural stuff right there. Then we have the plague monks. I have three of them, two sword and board storm vermin, which I feel like will perform pretty well against a Wood Elves rush, and they can also deal okay against enemy skirmishing because they have the missile block chance. And then in the back, Lord Skrolk with his two rat ogre bodyguards. I think Skrolk is the best Skaven Lord character in the game, just a ton of potential for summoning, and he has that great single target DPS spell, the Liber Bubonicus, that will do a lot of damage to enemy lords. So the rat ogres will deal with any cav that tries to get into my back lines, and then two poison wind globadiers and a warlock engineer with howling warp gale to tie down any flyer that tries to harass my lines, any dragon or any eagle or anything that gets close. I'll just pop that howling warp gale and make sure that it can't move. So across the way, Turin is rocking with the Wood Elves, like I said, and he has three of these Glade Riders with Hagbane tips. They are a very good counter to gutter runners, actually. One of the few things in the game that can actually deal with them. That's because they deal magic damage, first off, so that'll bypass their physical resistance, making the gutter runners a lot less tanky. They also do poison damage, which will slow the gutter runners and make it harder for them to kite effectively. And they're really fast with 94 speed, with decent melee attack. So they can actually, decent melee stats in general, and they're not good, but they're not bad either. So they can definitely do all right versus the gutter runner thing. So very smart pick there from Turin. And then on his main line, bunch of Eternal Guard, Wardancers, he has two of them, and Dryads, who also have that physical resistance, 20%. Wardancers have it as well. So a lot of physical resistance on his main line, which will make it pretty hard for my Skaven line to deal with his infantry rush. He has Orion for the Unbreakable and the extra bound spells, and Wild Riders with shields out on the flank. They also have the 20% physical resist. They cause fear, and they have frenzy. So pretty good against the Skaven. He has an eagle on top on Overwatch, and those are the builds. So opening up here, the Hagbane tip Glade Riders are going to move forward and start engaging. They're going to get some good shots in on my gutter runners as soon as I decide to show the unit. And yeah, they're going to show right now. He's going to move up his archers and get a couple volleys in. That might do some decent damage. So you can see here, as my Warp Lightning Cannons start opening fire, they're going to go for the Eagle. I really want to get the Eagle off the field because it's going to be very annoying. It might go after my Warp Lightning Cannon or my Globadiers in the back lines. That's why I have Howling Warp Gale, to make sure that that can't happen. But you can see skirmish damage actually doing a little bit of damage there to my gutter runners. And now he's getting some good shots into the flank of my Plague Monks, which is not good because I have very low armor, 10 armor. They will melt, absolutely melt to focus fire like this. So what I should be doing right now is actually pulling off one of these Skaven slaves and going in to basically screen my Plague Monks. So this is a mistake here, and this is what you should always do if you're taking a lot of fire from annoying flankers that are trying to skirmish you down. You're supposed to use a meat shield to basically screen the unit so that they can't get in range to start shooting at me. And I'm not really doing that right now. That's allowing him to get some good shots in my Plague Monks, and with that 10 armor, they're melting pretty fast. So you can see his Wardancer and his Dryad rush is coming in very quickly now. Gutter runners are opening fire into the Wardancers. I'll slow them down a bit, but with their physical resistance, they won't take too much damage. Well, there's a decent amount. And now we popped Howling Warp Gale. Overcast on the Great Eagle as it tried to come in and deal with my Plague Monks and my Warp Lightning Cannon in the back. And now all the anti-large is going to be hitting this Great Eagle. Now the problem with this, there are a couple issues. So first and foremost, I've cast Howling Warp Gale. Very expensive spell when you overcast it. I think it's over 17 wins of magic to do so, and that's fine if I can kill it. One of the issues, though, is that this Great Eagle, as soon as it gets hit by these Poison Wing Globadiers, will start kind of shuddering and shaking, and basically neoing and matrixing its way out of all the damage that's coming in, and it's continuously getting pushed back out of the range of my Globadiers, and dodging a lot of the shots unintentionally, which is, excuse me, a bit of an issue here, right? Because I'm not doing as much damage to it as I should. If it wasn't able to keep shuddering backwards, I'd do way more damage, but I'm missing a lot of my shots, as it were. So that's kind of annoying. The other issue with that is that I spent a lot of Winds of Magic on a unit that's only 800 gold. So now it's going to be harder for Lord Skrolk to summon Clan Rats and Plague Monks, and that might be an issue for me. Now his Glade Riders with Hagbane Tips are firing in from the flank. I am doing decent damage to the Great Eagle, but I would like to see it melt right now. If it's a dragon, it might actually be taking a lot more damage because it's a bigger target, but the Great Eagle is so small, I am missing a lot of my shots. So Orion and the Wardancers and Dryads have made it into melee now with my Clan Rats and my Plague Monks, and I'm going to summon some Clan Rats right here. But normally I'd be able to summon some Plague Monks already into the battlefield, maybe get them behind the line. I'm not able to do that right now because my Winds of Magic is pretty low because of that mistake with the Howling Warp Gale overcasting it. Now the Rat Ogres and the Wild Riders will fight, and this is going to be a good use of regrowth on the Wild Riders to keep them in the fight for longer. Lord Skrolk will come in to deal with them. I think Lord Skrolk would probably be better off in the main line, kind of buffing up the morale of all these units, because Skaven aren't exactly known for their good morale. But my Warp Lightning Cannons are getting some good point-blank shots into Orion, who is now charging in from the flank, and once Frenzy's worn off, they're actually going to get terrified from Orion and start routing. So I am having a little bit of morale issues in the center. Meanwhile, Globadiers are firing into the Hagbane Tip, Glade Riders out on the flank, and my Sword and Board Storm Vermin are doing pretty well here, bolstered by the Warlock Engineer. We should be able to beat these Wardancers back and hold them off for now. My Skaven Slaves, of course, are going to get melted. Meanwhile, the Great Eagle comes in and lands on my Warp Lightning Cannon. I have some Gunner Runners. I should be able to focus down fire on that very quickly, but it's already actually taken out 2 of my Warp Lightning Cannons very fast. So that was not good for me at all. And the Branch Wraith is also coming in to support. So my Rat Ogres, the bodyguards for Lord Skrolk, are coming in to get some good charges into the flank of these Wardancers and the Eternal Guard. Should be able to do some decent damage with the charge there. Do some nice WWE body slams. And meanwhile, my Warlock Engineer is actually getting beaten up pretty bad by Orion, but Orion is very low HP at this point. He does have Cloak of Isha, which means he will be able to get some health once he drops below 20%. But he is getting pretty beat up, but he's going to beat up on my Storm Vermin as well, so that should be an interesting trade. We'll see how that goes. Wading into melee now and just smashing them with that gigantic spear. Dryads are performing very well, and my center is not. The Plague Monks are breaking. Rat Ogres are not, but they're going to go deal with the Hagbane Tips. Get slowed by that poison, which is going to be a bit of an issue. Wild Riders did get into the back lines and started dealing with my Gunner Runners, so things are looking a little bit iffy for me at this point. But my Sword and Board Storm Vermin are kicking ass right now. They should definitely do well against the Dryads. They don't have a ton of killing power, which is one issue with them. They're a tankier front line for the Skaven, but they aren't exactly massive killers either, because they don't have a bonus versus infantry. They're more like, just hold the line for you. Now, I do have stuff coming back. There's a lot of routing on my lines, but I'm going to have, as the Winds of Magic start coming back, I'll get more summons in. So Plague Monks and some of these other summons are going to become a factor as we get into later stages of this game. The Branch Wraith will charge into the Rat Ogre and drop one of the models there, and Rat Ogres have actually taken a lot of HP damage, and Turin's done a great job of using these Hagbane Tips to just slaughter my Rat Ogres, and actually did a bunch of damage to my Plague Monks as well. Wild Riders are dying here. Got a nice rear charge into them. Slaughter them with the rear charge. But overall, things are looking kind of iffy for me. Where is Lord Skrolk right now? I think Lord Skrolk might have routed, but he should come back at some point, I believe. I don't see him. But my Plague Monks are being overrun here. I'm going to summon some Clan Rats to just bolster up the main line, and I did get a summon off with these Plague Monks. But Turin has done a great job with those Glade Riders out on the flanks, doing so much damage with the skirmishing power. And that's a really kind of underutilized unit, right? They give you so much mobility and utility out on the flank. They can charge in. They're great versus the Gunner Runners, like I said. And I think they were a great pick here. Well, oh yeah, there's Lord Skrolk, spreading all that pestilence in the middle of the main line. By the way, I'd really like to see some of those sub-factions get added in Total War Warhammer 2, so CA, please get on that so I don't have to use Clan Moors when I'm playing with Clan Pestilence. But the Great Eagle and Orion are ganging up, and with the support from the ranged firepower, Lord Skrolk is having a bad day. He will get terrified, and Orion is just coming over, smacking even his own guys around. And that looks pretty bad for me. Balance bar shifting very, very badly in my favor, and I guess in Turin's favor rather. It's going very well for him. Clan rats are routing, and basically all this stuff is going to rally, but too little, too late. I'll try to do what damage I can do, but Turin played very well in this game, and I made a few mistakes there that cost me the game pretty early on, actually. So we'll just double fast forward it as we get cleaned up here by the Glade Riders that run down my stuff. Maybe get a couple more cinematic shots. I invested so much in trying to get that Great Eagle off the field early, and honestly, I don't think that the play itself was bad, right? You want to get this thing off the field. You saw how fast it took down 2 of my Warp Lightning Cannons, which was going to be a big factor anyway. I really wanted that thing to do a lot of damage, and it did do quite a bit of damage to Orion, actually. But the fact that I invested an Overcast Howling Warp Gale into a Great Eagle and 2 Poison Wing Globadiers and didn't even end up getting it past half HP, that's a big issue. Very big issue. A lot of investment for a unit that really doesn't cost a lot of gold. That could have still caused a lot of carnage on my line, and it kind of did with taking out 2 or 3 of the artillery pieces. But that was a big issue, and then the bigger issue was that I wasn't really able to bolster my main line with the summons like Lord Skrolk is able to do for pretty much until the first half of the battle. So after that, I started getting my summons out, but before that I wasn't able to because I didn't have any Winds of Magic. So that was a big issue for me, right? Because I didn't have those Plague Monks to really bolster the main line. I didn't have Lord Skrolk in the center to provide that leadership buff. And so my center kind of broke early on. He broke through, the Wardancers kicked ass. He charged through, got the Glade Riders around the flank, and the Wild Riders as well. And overall, Turin played that very well. I made a couple mistakes there with my build and with my strategy in general. I think the build itself is fine. I think this could totally work against the Wood Elves, but it just needs a little bit better Winds of Magic usage. So yeah, Lord Skrolk didn't do a whole lot for me in terms of killing, but I did get a couple Liber Bubonicus off on Orion as well, so that was another reason why he dropped pretty low there. If I had killed Orion, might have been a different battle. But these Glade Riders, if you want to get something that's good against Skaven, I think that honestly these are going to be a really good pick, because again, that magical attack will cut right through the physical resistance of those Gutter Runners. And you saw what they did to Plague Monks, and Plague Monks are probably going to be the main line for a lot of Skaven builds. So when they only have 10 armor, and Plague Sensor Bears as well, though you wouldn't bring them against Wood Elves, but I mean, you'll do a lot of damage. You'll do a lot of damage with these guys to the Skaven main line. So very good pick from him. Very good build from Turin overall, and he definitely outplayed me in that one. So hope you guys enjoyed that game. There will be plenty more games between myself and Turin coming very soon. And I'll see y'all next time. Indypride, signing out for now.